Good morning, campers. Welcome back to Microsoft Flight Simulator. Welcome back to Mina, Nevada. One of my favorite little towns in America. We're just gonna go ahead and crank our flaps down here to full. Is there someone behind me? An A20? A20, what's an A20? Airbus A320. Yep, that's probably it. So from Mina Airport, you will take off and head northwest, traveling a short distance to reach Luning, another small town on a bend in the road, and then begins a relatively long haul west following Highway 95 to Hawthorne, Nevada, the county seat of Mineral County, America's patriotic home, complete with the world's largest Army Munitions Depot and a municipal airport where we will land to complete this leg of our journey. So this is our next stop. This is our fuel stop. We are going to get a text message from somebody. Not important. We are going to overfly the airport along the left side, then make right base onto this runway, which I believe is 10, runway 10, and land there, because the crosswind runway is not actively maintained, so we don't want to land on that, and dirt runway, I'm not sure if it'll count as a runway for the purposes of Flight Simulator, so that actually would be a good landing site, that dirt runway, and just straight into the taxi on the thing, but I don't know if it'll count. So we're gonna land on the asphalt. Actually, you know, this is probably more into the wind, so that, we might land on the dirt. I don't know. I'll see how I feel when I get there. We might land on the dirt and just taxi straight onto the taxiway and to the parking area, which is down here, where we will get our fuel, hopefully. Or we might just crash and burn. Who knows? Oh, there's a windsock up ahead of me. I didn't even see that when I flew over. That's lovely. Let's just close that. So 3QO, 3Q0. Looks like we've got a couple of AI planes, or not AI, but like traffic, real-world traffic planes. So there's a couple of actual flights coming in to Hawthorne. So we do need to be careful. We might have to deal with them, and we cannot talk to air traffic control. There is a VOR here, so these are potentially just on some kind of airway or something, who knows. Well, this is a pretty easy flight. This is just... Alright, let's... Full power. There's the nose up. We're veering a little bit to the right somehow. Alright, there we are, off the ground. Yeah, windsock's still pointing towards us, so we are making the right choices on where to land. I forgot to adjust my trim before we did that. Let's pull one level of flaps up. Nose drops, speed increases. Next level of flaps up. Speed increasing faster than our nose could drop. It should be our flaps completely up. Yep. Let's bear to the right. Continue to climb. Turn right over US 95 is the road dead ahead of us. And we'll be following that to the city of Hawthorne, which is our next stop. So, I actually need to look up, and I need to do this to check my fuel level. I hit the wrong button. I have done a complete turn. There's Mina! Yay, Mina! Including my burger stand. I need to wait till I get in level flight to check my sight glass for my fuel level. I should have probably checked that before I took off, but we couldn't get fuel down there anyway. Or at least there was no visible fuel stop. I'm sure we could rationalize adding fuel down there. Of course, the add fuel button does not actually... like, there's nothing stopping you from adding fuel wherever you want. So... because the only button that works for it just adds 25% fuel whether you're on the ground or in the air. So it's perfect like that. How's that look? That actually looks like a problem. Ew. I assume that is my fuel gauge. I'm pretty sure it's my fuel gauge because it did jump up when I added fuel. So we've only got like maybe an hour of flying available for that, so let's actually throttle back a bit so we're not burning as much fuel. Or maybe I want to throttle forward so I'm flying faster. I don't know. Trim it for relatively level flight. Pop outside. Yep, that should be about the same level that I got level flight at last time. Brisk 160 kilometers per hour. Good grief. This trip only literally has the 2 instructions on the navlog. It's just, you know, take off, follow the highway north. There's a town here called Luning, and then keep following the highway, and you get to Hawthorne. That's it. This is one of the simpler legs. It's a little bit longer than the last one, I bet. I'm betting. Pretty sure it is. It's usually like it's like a 30 to 45 minute drive from Hawthorne to Mina. So in a truck that I do like 58 to 65 mile an hour in. So this trip should be, you know, 15, 20 minutes, I guess. Because we are flying at almost double the speed of my truck, half again the speed. So it should be like 25 minutes-ish. 20, 25 minutes. Because we are about 50% faster than my truck in this plane. What are we looking at? Someone behind me in a TBM-9. Okay. Smart camera, very unreliable. Very not useful in this particular mode. I don't feel like we were in multiplayer in the first leg. So I don't know why that changed for the other ones. I think just maybe something about how the game loads in a saved state versus starting the bush trip. Maybe. Maybe if you do it all in one go, you stay out of multiplayer, but I did not do it all in one go. Because there's no loading screen. If you just jump straight into the next leg, there's no loading. It's just, you're back in the seat, you're good to go. I do love that it saves, though. That is kind of a fantastic way they've done this. Is that something on my actual... Yeah, okay. Like, is that on my windscreen in the game, or is that on my actual computer screen? It was on my actual computer screen. I think this is the town of Luning right here. Which has a small rest area. Good place to stop and pee if you didn't just buy a burger at Socorro's and use her bathroom. It's much cleaner. Paying customers only, obviously. Oh neat, there's like marks on the inside of the window that I'm just now noticing. Oh, they only appear in like certain angles of the sunlight, like the glass is scratched and stuff. That's cool. That's cool. Are you on this side too? I can't see any. It's just on this side because the sun's at the right angle. That's fantastic. That's good looking glass. So, odd phrase out of context, but yeah, that's good looking glass. So yeah, the reason I'm so familiar with all the locations along this highway is because I love coming this way. It's the main highway from Las Vegas to Reno, which I never had loads that actually went Las Vegas to Reno. But if you have, like, I used to pick up loads down in LA all the time, and if you had to get up to I-80 for anything on, like, anything, like if you had delivery in Reno I've hauled loads from LA to Reno. This is the way I'd come, because it's, you know, it's technically probably a little bit faster to go up Highway 99 in the Central Valley and then go over Donner Pass, but I just hate Donner Pass so much. It's so awful. It's like the weather's always terrible, and the traffic is always terrible. I would just always go up 395 through Lone Pine and Bishop and Benton and climb over the mountain into Nevada on US 6. Take the detour on 360 over to 95, stop in Mina at Socorro's, have a burger, and then drive up 95 to Hawthorne. Use the loop around Hawthorne because you're not allowed to drive straight through Hawthorne. Have to go around, but just drive up to Hawthorne. There's a McDonald's there. It's one of the most remote McDonald's in the country. If you ever see if you ever see like that map of America that shows all the locations of McDonald's, and they're like, see, there's no McDonald's in this area. There's like this one spot in Nevada where there's nothing around it, just one lone McDonald's. That's this one. Over in Hawthorne, and there's truck parking across the street, so I stop there a lot. In fact, we'll have to fly right over it in order to get to the airport, so I'll probably point it out. But yeah, if I'm ever going through so late that Mina's is closed, because she closes like 7:30 at night, so she doesn't stay open too late. So, but sometimes on these runs I pass her too late to get a burger, so I just stop at McDonald's instead. Hawthorne, also a major Army ammo depot, which is why a lot of truckers end up going there, is just making deliveries and stuff. And then you keep following 95 north. You can either split off and go over toward Reno on Alt 95, or you can head to or you can stay on 95 and go up to Fallon. Alt 95 goes to Yarrington and Fernley, and then eventually meets up with Interstate 80, and then you can pick up US 50 and get over to Reno and Sparks, or use USA Parkway to get to the Tesla Gigafactory and the Walmart DC, which is where I usually ended up going. Walmart DC is literally next to the Gigafactory, and the Gigafactory got to rename a bunch of stuff around there, so that's why you've got an Electric Avenue right next to the truck stop there. Electric Avenue. Because Tesla has the jokes. So we are actually already close to Hawthorne. Hawthorne's right in here. This is Walker Lake, and Hawthorne is just at the southern end of that. So we'll be flying, it's probably like over here somewhere-ish. We'll just keep following Highway 95, and we'll be there in no time. Then we'll land, we'll fill up our fuel tanks, and continue on another day, probably. I recorded like these several videos back to back to back, just because I could. And then next time I have this much free time, we'll do it again. And eventually finish this entire adventure that I've already invested hours into. Literal hours, at least 3 hours already I've put into this, I think. This is like an 8-hour trip, apparently. Thank goodness it saves. Thank goodness it saves. I'm so glad it does that. I was surprised that it saves a state, like it saves where you're sitting on the runway. That was unexpected. So ideally we are going to pull to a parking spot before we actually stop at this, before we come to a complete stop at Hawthorne, because I don't want to spawn on the runway if it's spawning me in multiplayer. Because that seems irresponsible, I think is the word. Such a gorgeous game. I'm just so tickled at how good this game looks. I'm so used to FSX looking just so bland and bleh. To get something like this that looks this good is just out of this world. Especially something that can run on my laptop, for crying out loud. Gothica Suwon. In a TBM9 at 6,195 feet. I rounded up when I should not have. Z cube, Z cube, Z3, I don't know, Z cube. TBM9 appears to be a very popular plane. A lot of people flying that. I've not even touched it yet. So I don't know what the big deal is. Who are these people over here? Hunter and Bosnoot. No planes listed for them, so they must not be close. Apparently Origin of Evil is fairly close, because we're... Or are we looking at Mr. McSpicy? God, it's a fantastic name. Scout Decoy, Mr. McSpicy, Origin of Evil. Good names. Lots of good names out here today. This is a professional. Ooh, everybody just kind of twitched there for a moment. Professional, like, tutorial videos, how to find all these places in VFR. Just do what I'm doing. You can kind of, like, get an idea of where it is. I hope it's helpful. Like, I feel like it's actually pretty straightforward, but my sense of direction is very good because of what I do for a living. Actually, it's why I do what I do for a living, driving, that is. So this seems super easy to me, finding my way around here, especially because I've been to a lot of these places. I realize it's probably not that easy for most people. So I hope these help. I don't know if they do, but I hope they help. Let's see. Let's show where we are currently on the VFR map. So interesting. We're actually right here. So there should be airplane somewhere near us. Interesting. Several airplanes over the lake. Fascinating. I guess these might just be like super high altitude airliners using this beacon as for navigation. Yeah, so we are like right around here-ish, following the highway towards Hawthorne. So we're already like halfway through this trip. This is going well. It's going very well. One of the fun things about this is US 95 is a fairly high-speed highway. The speed limit is like 75. Of course, my truck was governed at 65, so I couldn't do 75 if I wanted to, except downhill, which even then that was beyond what my tires were rated for, so I didn't do that. But there was a railroad crossing on this road, which is surprising. Like a level crossing on a high-speed road is very strange. It's like warning lights for quite a distance. It's kind of in the Army base sort of area. I wonder how close these two folks are to me. They do appear to be moving left to right, so they can't be too terribly far, because they are like actively moving on my screen. Something is behind me. Is that still a player? I don't see any names. I'm afraid to look at my fuel thing. There's nothing I can do. If I run out of fuel, I run out of fuel. Plenty of places to put it down on the way here. On the way to Hawthorne, should we actually run out of fuel. So I can't imagine the Army would really like me landing on US 95 this close to an Army ammunition dump. So could get us talking to should that happen, but you know, I feel like we've almost certainly got enough to make it. It's so close. It's like right in front of us. I wonder what the rules are for flying into Hawthorne. I bet there's like very specific routes you have to take to not overfly the Army stuff. We're not going to do that. We're just going to fly. I'm dying to know what this thing is looking at. I just have no idea. I liked that first mission where it looked at the airport. That was really nice. And this smart camera has been useless ever since. So yeah, you can kind of see the everything's kind of laid out in a grid over here. This is all the Army-owned areas out here, and out here it's just all Army. There's like a whole bunch of warehouses that are super widely spaced because they just contain explosives and stuff. God, I hope that sound I'm hearing isn't me running out of fuel. Hello, Army. Ignore the plane flying directly overhead. Please don't shoot me down. I am but a simple bush pilot, making my way in the world the only way I know how. By flying. Slowly. Alright, so the airport's right here. The road comes into... So US 95 comes into Hawthorne, and then there's a side road that trucks have to take that goes around this edge of the town. There's a truck stop right here, and then there's the airport right here. So, or maybe this is the airport. I don't know. It's the airport's like right in here somewhere. And there's the truck stop, and the McDonald's is next to the truck stop. Oh, I think Z-Cube is crashing somewhere beyond the mountains. Goodbye, Z-Cube. Z-Cube has set. Oh, there he is. He's alive. Just a lag spike, I assume. Here's like the rows of warehouses that are all super evenly and distantly spaced. There's more of the Army base here. I assume these are all just full of explosives or something. Is why they're probably so far apart. I don't know, obviously. I'm just a lowly truck driver and not privy to such things. But this is definitely an ammunition storage facility, so I assume some of the stuff explodes. Probably most of it. Alright, yeah, that's the airport here. That's our dirt runway that we are going to likely aim for. So we're going to aim to fly a crosswind, turn left. Actually, let's just do a left downwind. Fly kind of low over Hawthorne, and I'll be able to point out the truck stop that I am super familiar with. I need to slow down before I do any maneuvers. I am going way too fast. There's the rows of super evenly spaced warehouses I was talking about that are like obviously full of things that can blow up, and they don't want them close together. And this is US 95, the truck route around town. Continue to bleed speed, please. Flaps down. Don't gain speed now. I just bled off all that lovely speed. Don't give it back. Put my flaps down for a reason, dang it. This is the truck stop right here that I am most familiar with. We're not landing on the asphalt runway. We're sorry. Pitch trim. See, this is the McDonald's. I know this area. Okay, I've parked here. I tried to park like right here. There's a sign like on the corner, and I like to park underneath the sign so that people couldn't run off the road and hit my truck. They'd hit the sign first. I feel like that was smart planning, you know? Hello, Hawthorne. Hello, truck stop. Hello, McDonald's. Yeah, we're gonna land on the dirt runway. For sure. We are going much too fast for flaps. I must be damaging my flaps right now. So I'm going too speedy. Oh, we're actually looking at the something on the ground. Runway looks pretty clear. I'm sure this airport has a tower, and I just cannot talk to it because bush trip. That would apparently be cheating. Alright, we're on a left downwind for the dirt runway. Let that kind of get off our screen, and we'll turn on to base and final. We really don't need much space to turn around. There's the runway. The feet upon the rudders, where they belong when you're flying an airplane. Alright, coming around on the final. Bleeding some more speed. We're just going to make this a one-notch flaps landing. No need to go for more. We've got a lot of runway to bleed. Settle down onto the runway. Boop. Just kind of keep rolling as the tail wheel settles down. Pop to the outside view. Flaps up, trim, take off. Let's keep ourselves rolling. This really looked like dirt from the sky, but it seems to be like some kind of gravel or light pavement. Not sure. This is the clearly unmaintained runway we are crossing here. It looks like the game has rendered it into a state that you can probably land on it. Oh, my tail wheels come up. Me just boogieing down the runway like nothing's happening. Fast enough to make my tail wheel come off the ground. That's funny. This plane can really just take off anywhere. I don't see any traffic on the runway or approaching the runway. So we should be safe to cross onto the taxiway. Just bump onto the asphalt. The tail wheel has lifted off the ground again. We are clear of the runway. My tail wheel back on the ground. Yeah. Let's see, where do we think the fuel is here? That looks... These look like fuel pumps over here. Let's just pull into a parking spot. I'll just fill up the tank wherever we park, because obviously we don't need to go to the fuel pump since I'm using the button to fill up my fuel. And then that will leave us nicely parked for the next video. Once again, I'm Elio Dare. Thank you all so much for watching as we have flown from Mina to Hawthorne, Nevada. You can find me on Xbox Live, Steam, Nintendo, and of course Twitter at Elio Dare. Twitter's the best place to get a hold of me, obviously, because I check it all the time. But, you know, come say hi wherever. Follow me on Xbox Live and you can see when I'm flying. And potentially find me in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Thank you for watching the videos. I'll see you in the next trip. I don't know where we're flying next. I haven't looked that far ahead. I've only scouted up to Hawthorne, but I'm sure it will be really neat. Because this whole trip has been delightful. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. Let's pull on to a parking spot. Boop. Perfect. A little crooked. Leg complete. Thank you all so much for watching and have a great day. Bye.